Hey guys, it's SD, your host of the Life Picks Relationship podcast, where people with all sorts of backgrounds, challenges, and life experience show us how they make their relationship extraordinary. Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Today we're here with two really special guests, Cecilia Dintino and Hannah Starobin. They've both been married for 30 years or more, and they've been friends since college for over 40 years. How are you?
We're good.
Great, great.
Awesome. Let's start. Cecilia, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us how long you're married for and what you've been doing?
Yes. Wow. Okay. I'm a psychologist and been working for many years, but I'm also been married for 30 years. I've been with the same lucky man for about 34 years.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Wow. And what about you, Hannah?
Well, I'm Hannah Starobin, and I'm a psychotherapist. And yes, I have been married for 33 years, been together for 36 years with the same person. And Cecilia and I have been friends for over 40 years because we
Yeah.
met undergraduate school. So,
So you were at each other's weddings.
oh, yeah.
We were.
Such fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what makes your relationship extraordinary?
Our relationship with each other or our relationships with our husbands?
So let's start. What about your relationship with each other? I mean, being friends for so long for
Yeah.
sure has a lot of power.
Hannah, do you want to
Well,
start?
sure. I mean, I think it's that, I mean, one of the many things is that obviously we have a ton of history. You know, we have kind of walked through life together, almost like family and siblings. So we just kind of have a shorthand that we kind of get each other and know what all the parts mean, you know, of each other. And I think that's great. And we have a shared, beyond the shared experience, we have a shared sense of humor and a shared passion for creativity and science and working with people. So across the board, it kind of all fits together.
Yes, Hannah, you said it too. I think the magic, well, the magic of Hannah, but I think it could be the magic between us too, is that she is always ready to play and make me laugh. And I say this over and over again, like so many things have happened in my life that like really shameful, embarrassing, huge mistake, failures. And the first thing I usually think, I used to say this all the time, and I still,
Yeah.
the first thing I always think is, oh, I can't wait to tell Hannah because I know it will end up having a good laugh about
Right.
it. You know, I mean, even the really tough stuff.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that's
And
the way to do it, you
that's
know?
I think that I really feel like that's the magic ingredient.
Yeah.
You know, other than that, I would say my experience with Hannah is complete non-judgment. I never feel judgment from her about myself at all, and more than that, even a lot of like approval. I just feel like everything I do, she approves of, even when I stumble. And now we're starting a business together too, and I feel that feeling like when I make mistakes, I don't worry about Hannah judging me or
Right.
punishing me, or it just actually I can count on her helping me laugh about it.
Right.
It's the way we get through hard times, you know? We're going to hit
Yeah.
them, so we might as
I,
well laugh about them and get
Joy.
through
I
them.
totally
Joy.
agree.
We make them into so much burden.
Right. That's what I always say about my husband. When I met him, I thought the thing I fell in love with was he was a grown up when he needed to be, but the rest of the time we are complete 5-year-old. And that was like the perfect mix for me, was that we could have fun, we could play, we could be silly and ridiculous. But when it's important, we can
Yeah.
step up. So
Hannah and
That
I laugh that like she's never told me anything that she disapproves of with me, except for one time when she woke up from surgery and she was in anesthesia coma. She let me know she didn't like my then boyfriend.
no, the best part is I woke up a week later and I just looked at my husband. We weren't married yet, but I said, "Oh my God, I think I told Sil I hate her boyfriend." And I called her and I said, "I have to say something." I think that she went, "It's okay." It's
She
like, "Oh
wasn't
no,
the
I did
only
say
one.
it."
She was right.
So he's not the guy you're married to now.
Oh no, thank God.
So the guy that you are married to now, what makes your relationship extraordinary with him?
Oh, what makes our relationship? I'm not going to put it on him. Our relationship together, it is extraordinary. I really do think it's extraordinary. First of all, I feel like I married a total grown up. He takes full responsibility for himself. He never blames me if he's not feeling right or if things aren't going well. It's always been that way. And I remember having dated a lot of, less mature individuals. I couldn't believe that this person actually was going to take care of himself, that somehow I wasn't responsible for his happiness. Number one. Number two, he's just so, again, he's very non-judgmental and open and sense of humor. I mean, Hannah and I really hit the jackpot with husbands. Like we say that all the time. Like we don't even talk about them that much on our podcast and stuff because it's just too good, and we don't want people to be envious. But
Yeah.
I really, one of the things that I say, SC, all the time, I used to say, I have a lot of clients, millennial clients, who are struggling to figure out relationships. And for some reason, in my case, I always felt like, I always said that everybody that I dated before, it was like I bought a suit that was just a little bit too small and I would outgrow it pretty quickly. But with my husband, I felt like I got a few sizes bigger and I've been able to grow so much. But I think we don't make it that we are responsible for each other's happiness. And this is the problem I see so many people getting into. It's like, so-and-so does this, so I can't feel like this wish to control the other person so that you can be happy or you can like yourself. It's just never going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I always think, my husband said to me when we were first dating, and it was literally like our second date, and he said, let's focus on our friendship. And I think that's something that I always think about, because I do think that the way of dating now, the whole dating app, is this whole kind of numbers game of like moving through who fits my criteria. And you're missing out on people who you might have an incredible connection to, who don't fit this idealized version of what you think you're supposed to be with. And I think personally, friendship and respect and kindness are the things that get through when things are hard, when things aren't going smoothly, which everybody goes through. And so how do you find that and nurture that piece of the relationship, I think, is really important.
So how do you suggest people be able to really build that friendship part of the relationship?
I think one thing is by making it a priority. I mean, thinking about it in the context of friendship and thinking about, this is the person that I want to make that kind of connection. I think sometimes people think physical or romantic connection without adding in the friendship piece. And I think the friendship piece is really important. And you can do that by making it a priority, by making time to develop those connections and get to know each other on that way, and without the expectations almost of romance. Do you know what I mean?
Bonus,
Yeah.
It makes the relationship even better. Yeah. So with such amazing relationships, how do you get through hard times?
I know for me, sense of humor is like vital. If we can't laugh about it and and I always say it's that respect and friendship piece when the things are really hard, that's what we lean on, is the fact that this is my best friend, this is the person who's going to help me, and vice versa. I sometimes think people would do kinder things for their friend than they might for their partner, that they take that relationship for granted instead of realizing that, no, this is the person that you also need to give that kind of attention to. And so I think as Cecilia said, play and humor, I think, are vital, and it seems so counterintuitive at times when things are really painful, but finding the humor and the absurdity in the things that are really hard is one way to kind of share. There's enormous emotional electricity that I think happens with humor and connection that's incredibly intimate. And so finding that isn't counterintuitive to a deep connection for me.
I think that's great. And I think that one of the things that I noticed during hard times is it's really easy to default into a sort of concern about ourselves, like, and then taking it out on the person you're closest to, right? Like we have a lot of stress with a disabled child that we have. It's almost like reflexively or reactionary that I get like, I want to yell at my husband about it. But I'm really trying to stop and think, wait a minute, Now is the time that I actually have to give. I have to be the way I want people to be to me. I have to be that
Mhm.
way to other people. And this is such an important thing. And it's so hard to do because we all have this sort of natural survival thing that we sort of like want to put our walls up, protect ourselves and put the guards out, and, you know. And it all makes sense and it's valid. And sure, especially in hard times, people are going to say things that are offensive to you and hurt, like we're all struggling. But if I can remember to be what I want to receive, and that's the piece that's the hardest. It's just like Hannah said, it's not the intuitive thing almost. Like be kind when I feel like screaming. Every time it works, every time. But it requires a lot of self control, I guess you would say.
You're just automatically reflexes scream, get upset. You stop yourself before physically,
Oh, it's the
no,
hardest
this is not
thing.
what I'm doing. I'm gonna be
And I
kind, be
think even
nice.
even forgive yourself if you do scream and say all the like we're all human, we're all gonna do
Mhm.
it. And then as soon as you catch it, say, wait a minute, sorry, rewind.
Right.
That's
Right.
not how I want to be.
Right. And to come back and to well, when that happens, which it does happen to all of us, is to come back and try to understand it and to try to say what happened and what did, here's where I misstepped or here's what I felt. And to be able to kind of debrief when things are hard so that you don't build up this sort of long-term resentment, of not speaking up.
Never build up long-term resentment.
No.
Let go all the time.
Right.
Everybody in a relationship needs to have a nice eject button and just let it go.
Wow.
Really important,
Mhm.
really important, because that I see a lot of my clients do, like sort of like
This and this and that and that. And it
collecting
like,
and fine tuning their lists. This in 19 did he did,
And
it's
yeah, a lot of time couples come in and they want to relitigate all the past arguments. And I'm like, it's not productive. I mean, there's just no point to it. We can sit here and just keep you in the muck or we can move on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what advice would you give to someone who wants to make the relationship extraordinary?
my biggest advice would be to be very open to people. Like, really, instead of looking for that person, and I know this is hard because we're kind of hardwired to look for the person in a certain age range. But I would say to be really open to experiencing and trying to enjoy people, and then be really listening to yourself, really watching yourself. Like, even when we talked, like that guy that Hannah told me that she didn't like I knew it. I knew it. I just wasn't paying attention to myself. I wasn't listening to my own wise self, you know? There's no one perfect. There's no one that's not going to hurt you. That's not like you cannot have a relationship without getting hurt. There's just no way. But there's a place where you know that this person is sort of open to you, open to working it through, open to being human. That's what you want to look for. It really has nothing to do with what the person looks like or how much money they make and all those things. I mean, they're actually proving that through the research with these dating services too. It it's something else. It's a Hannah, you said even like an electricity, or it's like an energy. It's like a feeling that we all know. And sometimes it can surprise us. Sometimes it actually can be somebody that we wouldn't have thought, in our descriptions. That's the problem with our apps. I want someone with, I don't know what people actually say to me, like this width of arm and that, none of that really is the thing. It's something else. And so you have to be really open and interested in people. I think, whenever we're trying to look for something, right, Hannah, when we're trying to look for happiness,
Yeah.
we're trying to find our purpose or find our mate, we block ourselves off to actually really what's being
Hmm.
coming to us. And in both of our cases, we met our husbands in a totally unexpected, like, right? It was just
Yeah.
like, oh, all right, right? So it's I think that I don't know if I'm being clear with my advice. So be open and listen to yourself. Those two things would be number one.
Yeah, I think for once you have the relationship that you want, and in an effort to, I think the two things I would do is assume the best intentions of your partner. Always come at it with, even when they hurt you, it's not their intention to hurt you. Of course, obviously, if you're in an abusive relationship, that doesn't play out.
You
But
should know that
but
in wisdom.
right, and so give the best of intentions, and the other person, advice I would give is to stay curious, to try to understand, to really get to know, because you think you know and you don't. Tell me again why you feel that way. Help me again understand what it is that's so important to you about this. I
Ask a
don't
lot of
get it.
questions.
Ask a lot of questions and listen,
Be
because
curious. That's such a great one, Hannah.
that's how you keep it. I need to understand, even when we disagree, I need to understand what we're disagreeing about and why. And that's the only way we'll either come to something that we can both live with, or I'll get it and I'll say, you're right, I didn't get that. Now I understand, I'll do it your way. It's that piece of being able to be curious.
And if you're curious, you can be surprised, something
Exactly.
you never knew. And because we go into relationships with a whole template of stories that we're going to apply to that person. Oh, and I hear it all the time, from clients and friends. Oh, he did that. You know what that means? That's a red flag because that means da da da. And I'm like, but really? Do you think that it means that? Have you asked? So
Part goes together with what you're saying about being open
Right.
to hear, open, ask questions, active listening.
One of the things that Hannah and I are noticing, because we do programs for women over 50, women 50, 60s, and a lot of women come to our groups and our workshops, and they have just been left by a husband of 30 years, longer sometimes, for another woman. Now, this, every now and then, even my young clients, it just sends fear down and it's really painful. It's really painful. What I want to say about it as much as to say relationships, even if it's an extraordinary relationship, they aren't guaranteed. I don't know. It just, right, Hannah, like that. It's really important to be aware that who you are in the world is not completely defined by this one other person.
It's not at all defined. You are you, and you have your relationship with the other person.
And that's a tough one for our women who have been in a relationship for 30 something years, raised children. Some of them gave up their careers to support, just in this sort of more traditional model. Now, all these women would tell everyone now, don't do it. Be aware of who you are. Never, ever give up, working on yourself. It's very easy when you're in a couple to sort of forget that. It just really is easy. And in many ways, the culture supports women in doing this and sort of like taking a little bit of a backseat, and that person is happy, and that it does not work.
Right. You don't want to lose yourself. You really need to keep evolving. And I think it keeps a couple healthy if both people are evolving. And I think sometimes, our generation, maybe a little older, was taught to be quiet and backseat. And I don't think it serves well in lots of ways. And I think so the more we can keep a sense of our own self in the context of a couple is great.
And all the women that we're talking about are all going to find new relationships and new love, and they're all thriving, and learning so much from their experience. But it's just a very interesting phenomenon, right?
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thanks for having us.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a comment below so I can know what you think. And to book your relationship photo shoot, CJ session, or just to hear more about what we do, go to lifepicksrelationships.as.me. I'm waiting.